Hi guys, this is Reddy. Welcome to the session on Jenkins. In this session, we are going to look at how to integrate SonarQube report with the Jenkins. And in this session, we are going to see we will take a Maven project, and already Maven will have the plugin for the SonarQube Sonar Scanner. And using that scanner, previous session I explained how to analyze. But in this session, what we are going to do, we are going to automate the same process using the Jenkins. In order to proceed with this session, please make sure that you have the below softwares installed on your computer. One is Jenkins needs to be installed and it should be up and running. And then please make sure you have installed the Maven. And in this session, I am going to I am assuming and I am going to show you create an centralized repository using the GitHub. That means my code will be repository on this GitHub. And in the local, in order to work with the GitHub, I have installed the Git software in my local. And make sure that if you want to receive any email notification after the Jenkins ran the builds, then you need to make sure that you need to have a SMTP server details and the username and password for that. At high level, how Jenkins is going to work is, I just want to repeat once again, that is, you will have a centralized SCM, that is the source control management centralized repository server, where all the developers are going to check in their code here. And Jenkins will take that code and using the Sonar scanner for the Maven, it is going to run the source code and it is going to publish the report here. This is what we are going to see here. And after that, if you want to send any email notification about the build success or failure, we can go ahead and do that one also. We are going to see these steps in this session. So let us go ahead and start. I already installed all these required softwares, and I have it handy. So if you are not installed or just this is the first time you are following this session, then make sure that you go through my previous tutorial and make sure you have installed all this request software. Now I'm going to start with it. First one is we need to have the centralized repository server. That is, we are going to use the GitHub. Here I have pushed the latest Maven project, because in the earlier session I explained about how to integrate Sonar Scanner with the Maven. So same project actually I have pushed it to this GitHub. If you are not sure how to push the your local code to the GitHub, then I am going to explain that in the later tutorial. But my assumption is you already know about the SVN, where you have a some, either it might be a GitHub or it might be a SVN. You already have a some project where it has placed in the centralized repository, and now you are going to integrate that one with the Jenkins. So my assumption is that you already have the centralized repository server, either it might be a Jenkins or the GitHub. So I am going with that assumption. So I am logging into the Jenkins. Once you log in into the Jenkins, you will have a configuration manage Jenkins. Go here, and if you are really using the same repository like a GitHub and Git, then please make sure that these following settings are having on your Jenkins. So just go click on the manage Jenkins, then you will see another option for the global tool configuration. So click on this global tool configurations. And if you come to the Git, you will have a session for the Git. Here you will see the path to executable. Make sure that wherever you have installed the Git in your local, give the path here and just click on save. Okay, click save. And then go to the click on the configure system. If you want to receive an email notification after the build is success or the failure about the reports, then we need to set up the email notification system. So once you click on this configure, then you can scroll down, you will see an entry for the email notification. You'll see the entry and section for the email notification. Here we need to set up the SMTP server. For example, if you are using for the if you are working with any company, so we need to give the company SMTP server, or for example, if you want to test it, then you can use this SMTP for the Gmail. For example, smtp.gmail.com. Okay, and then you need to click on the advanced configuration, and here you will see the SMTP port number. Before that we need the authentication also, so click on use SMTP authentication. Here username is going to be the Gmail username, and password is also for the Gmail account password. After that, you need to provide the SMTP port. By default, it is 465. If you are using the SMTP for the Gmail, then the port number is going to be 465. And then reply to address. When you are sending an email, you always will have the reply. It is generally is like a no reply at the rate of some domain name. Similar to that, you need to have an entry in this session. Once you set up this one, you can go ahead and see whether the whatever the SMTP configuration you have provided is correct or not by clicking on that test configuration sending email. Here you can provide your test email, for example, test.gmail.com. Now, when you click this test configuration, what happens is if your SMTP configuration everything is fine, then it is going to send a test email. But I'm just for demo purpose, I'm not going to set up any this SMTP server. But this is where you need to set up the SMTP server details. Okay, I'm just removing it, and I'm not going to save these details, but this is the screen where you need to set up the SMTP server or the email notification setup. Once this is done, can go back to again on the manage Jenkins, lay this page. Now we have seen two things. One is we have, if we are installing the Git, then we need to set up the executable path for the Git, and then if you want to receive an email notification system, then first you need to configure the email notification system in the through the configuration system. Go to the email notification system, set up all the SMTP server configuration details. Once this is done, now we need to create a new job for it. So click on new item. Here you can specify Sonar test, and I am going with the freestyle project. Click OK. Here it is a Sonar test. Now we need to execute the project which is deployed on the GitHub. So click on here GitHub, come to the GitHub session, give the project URL. It is if you are using other than this, if you are using other than, so this is the my GitHub URL. Just to click on this clone or download, automatically it will provide the GitHub URL. But if you are using any SVN or any other source control systems, then you can provide that. So just I am giving like a just a GitHub project URL, and then come to the source code management. Here the source code management based on the source control you are using for your project, you need to give the proper you need to select the correct source code management. That is, for this project what I am doing, what I am going to use is Git. Here I need to provide the Git URL, that is the remote host name. This is the remote host name. Once you provide the remote host name, you need to provide the username and password to connect it to this project. So in this case, I have created my account with Siva Java Techie. So that password we need to provide. So in order to add a new password or something, you can click on Jenkins, and it is going to provide you, it is going to come up with a screen where you need to enter the username and password. So this should be the your username and password for the GitHub. For example, if you are using the SVN as a SCM, then you can select SCM here. You can select the subversion. So when you see subversion, it is a checkout directory and it is going to ask for the few details. Okay, so this is how you need to enable the SVN. For example, here also SVN also repository URL will be there, and you need to provide the credentials to connect to that, and what is the local module directory and path. So based on your source code, source SCM version or the SCM type, you need to select the correct version of it. And the branches, once you create any branch on the server, this is the branch. I have this is the by default I created, so it will be a master branch. Okay, this is how you need to include the source code management. Once again, I will repeat, I am going to use the Git as a source code control management system. So this is my remote host URL, and then credentials to connect to this one we need to provide. And what is the branch you need to, you have deployed this code, you need to be specified. Once the source code management is you provided, then you have a build triggers. So initially when I'm talking about the Jenkins, I explained. So build can be on different ways you can specify. It is manually you can select every time if you want to run the build, you can go ahead and manually you can select. Another way is you can select build based on the periodical. That means on schedule basis, if you want to go on schedule the project to build your project, then you can specify the build project periodically. And if you want to know the more information how to set up this periodically, just click on this question mark, and it is going to come up with the description about how to exactly set up on periodically basis. For example, here are the example. Every 15 minutes you want to set up, then h by 24 star star star. Here what it means is it has consist of totally 5 sections, each one separated by the tab. First one you are going to specify the minute, and second one is hour, and next one is the day of month and day of the week. So this is the format you are going to specify. So if you see the below examples, it is very pretty clear. Based on your requirement, you can choose any of this format to schedule the build periodically. Okay, so this is the one option you have. And another option is build when a change is published to the GitHub. That means locally we are going, developers will do the lot of changes, and whenever they commit a code to the GitHub, that means the push will happen to the GitHub where central repository is there. Then based on that you want to build the your project, then you can select the build when change is published to the GitHub. Or if you want to poll to the central repository server on a periodically basis, again you can use the poll SCM. Again this will also have the same way. That means every 15 minutes or 20 minutes you are going to poll the request to the SCM, that is Git, and you are going to get the latest data and trying to build with that. These are the different ways you can trigger the build. Okay, so based on your requirement you can select any of these things. And next one is build workspace before build starts. That means delete workspace before build start. That means if you select this one, always when it is trying to run the build, first it is going to delete the existing workspace and create new workspace, and with that it is going to build it. Okay, and then and about the build, if any stack, for example, whenever any build is happening, it is waiting, it is running for a long time. Then if you don't want those type of things, then about the build if stacks happens. So these type of things you can select. Then the next step is build. How you are going to build your project. Now As I have installed the Maven in my local, and I have running the Maven project. So I am going to execute the Windows batch command. For example, if you are installing this SonarQube in a different server like a Unix, then you will go with the execute the shell script. So I am going to use the execute Windows batch command. Here I am specifying Maven clean sonar. So already Maven will have the Sonar as a plugin, and Sonar Scanner will automatically will analyze the code and it will publish the report. Now instead of actually manually running from the command line, now what we are doing is we are going to automate this process using the Jenkins. That is what this step is going to do is. Okay, and I am giving the execute Windows batch command, and then I can specify the post installation build. For example, if you want to receive an email notification about the build, then you can set up here. This email notification will use the configuration of the SMTP server details where we have provided in the initial configuration. For example, if you want to send a notification, then you click on notification. Here you can specify the recipient notification email addresses like list of them. And also you can segregate, send an every bill unstable, or send separate emails to the individual broken bills. For example, 10 people are working on the project, and one of them actually broke in the build. So now what happens is one mail is sent to the all the team members saying it is a build is failure, and separate email actually who break the build, it can identify that user and it can send to the email to that note that user. Apart from that, even you can go ahead and publish your test case JUnit test case report results test case reports also. If you want to publish your reports, then you can publish it, and also you can enable the build status on the commit and set the status of the build commit. So there are different ways you can there are different options you have configured. You can configure after build is happen. So if you configure these things based on the configuration what you set up for this build, it is going to take the action. Okay, now I am doing, I am saving the project. Okay, one second. So I need to remove that email configuration, the last step, because I didn't configure the SMTP detail. So this is going to fail otherwise. So I just removed it, and with this information I am saving. Okay, now you can go ahead and build now. So this is how you can build your project now. Build now. Now what happens once you build it, it is going to schedule the build and it is trying to run the command whatever you have provided for this project. Once that completes, then this is going to say the build is success or failure. And if it is failure, it is going to print the all the logger corresponding to the build failures. And also what it is going to do is, as this is the sonar scanner, it is act as a sonar scanner. Once this report is completed, it is going to send the notification to the SonarQube server with the data, and SonarQube server will process the data and it will available for the user. This is how the complete workflow of the project. Now let us wait for to complete this build. It may take 1 minute to complete the process. Let us see for 1 more minute. Okay, it is still executing. Yeah, it is build successfully completed. If you see here, this is the this is, if it is fails, it will say the red mark, but here it is say that success. And if you want to see the console of it, just click on it, this one. Click on this hash one, and here you can see console output. The console output will have the everything, that is, um, if you see how the execution is happening, you can find all the logs here. For example, here it is running the Maven clean sonar, and it is created a snapshot for that, and then it has ran the sonar scanner, and it has analyzed the reports, and finally this has sent for the mode processing is available at the HTTP local 9000. So this is where our SonarQube server is running. So just you can click on this any of this one URL, then you can see, then you can see the report here. Okay, it is going to come up with the report, the project which has just deployed on this. It is trying to process. Okay, see here. So it has saying the three issues are, and if I go to the click on here, it will provide the issues, and you want to see exactly the home page so that you can see the last run of this report for this project. If we see last run is 12:47, which is same as our last local computer time. So this is how you can use the Jenkins to automate the process. Once again, I will repeat the process, what the steps we have followed. The first one is, as this is the GitHub project, first we need to set the build execution path in by going to the configuration, global tool configurations. So here manage Jenkins and global configuration, because this is the Git project, so you have to use the git.exe to execute the path of it. We have set up this Git, so this is where we have set up this one. And the next one is, we have set up the next step is, if you want to receive an email notifications, then we need to set up the SMTP details, that by clicking the configure system and the going to the email notification server. Here we need to provide the SMTP server details, and if you are using the Gmail, then you need to set up the Gmail SMTP server and username and password. And if it is your domain specific or the company specific SMTP server, you can configure from here. And then the next step is, we have created a new job, which we have created a new project, which actually going to take the here we are going to set up the project with all the details about the our project, right? So that is, one second, I'm going to build history. Yeah, SonarQube test, this is the one which we have configured. So if we see the Sonar test, we have configured this project on the GitHub. So first step is, we need to provide the GitHub URL where it is going to identify the location, and then we need to set up the branch and the source code management with the what is the repository URL and credentials to connect it. And if you are using the other than Git, if you are using any subversion, similarly we need to provide the host name and the your repository URL and the credentials. And then based on the requirement, you can set up the different build triggers. Either build will needs to be periodically, or on the basis of push happen to the GitHub, or you want to periodically push the poll to the SVN, and you want to get the latest code and you need to build it. And also build environment, here you have a few more option to select whether every time you want to run the build, you want to delete the existing workspace and again you want to create it, then you can specify. And then finally build, based on the build tool you are going to use, like a Maven or the Gradle, we are going to provide the Gradle or the Maven scripts here. So when Jenkins will first, what it will do is it will poll to the SVN and get the latest code from the SVN, and then it is going to execute these commands whatever you have given. Once you have ran the build, if you want to provide any further, if you want to take further actions like archiving the artifacts or build the other projects or publishing the JUnit report or publish the Java doc or recording the footprints or Git publish or email notification, you need to, if you want to do anything, you can configure from the post build actions, and then you can save. Once you save the project, you have an option to run this build. You can build it. Once this everything is complete, then you will get the console output where you can see the complete details about the script logs, how it got executed. The console output will have the entire logs about the process, how it has executed the build. Hope you are clear with the Jenkins, you are clear with the concept, how you can integrate SonarQube scanner with the Jenkins and how to automate the build process. If you have any questions, please comment on my YouTube video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.